Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio. You are about to join a frequency that will open your mind, expand your heart, and activate your spirit. Thank you for joining Kelly Meehan, Spirit Baby Medium and Master Energy Therapist. Kelly believes in the power of the Spirit Baby. She speaks with babies in spirit before life, in the womb, and after life. She supports, teaches, and guides others to tune into the intuitive and mystical parts of life for greater wisdom. Join her in meeting your soul baby and build your connection and relationship with deep love and trust. Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio with your host, Spirit Baby Medium, Kelly.
Welcome to episode 140, June 10th, 2022. Signs and Symbols. Understanding how to decode and trust your Spirit Baby messages. How can you become good at inner listening? What ways can you decode your messages? How can you trust more and more your communication style? What does your Spirit Baby relationship need? And so, yes, we are here in June. It's going to be summertime, and where I live in this part of the world, and everything is, I want to say, moving, moving along, being in the flow, of course, in this reality of ups and downs. And I really want to talk more deeper about signs and symbols, because this has been coming up a lot with private sessions, and even in the Spirit Baby Academy, which is a newer course of certification, a 6-month certification, and a great, really honoring amount of students that have so many special talents and abilities. And we are moving into actually this month of signs and symbols, which is going to be powerful, because these new Spirit Baby intuitives, I say new, probably very ancient in many deep wisdom ways, are bringing it out on a more massive level in their doctoral work, in their acupuncture work, in their healers work, in their therapist work, in their Spirit Baby mode work, wherever it is that they're at. And you maybe are tuning in and you're a Spirit Baby intuitive, or maybe you're tuning in and you're in conception, pregnancy, or healing through birth loss. Signs and symbols is really, really important. This is where the connection of the message is coming through. And really the big thing here is your connection to the signs and symbols. And so if you are walking through the world kind of unaware, not paying to intuition, and just kind of going through the motions, which can happen, then you are going to miss the signs and symbols. It's a language. And I've said this many times before, and I love saying it, is that energy in communication with who we are is a language, just like sign language with hands is a language, just like another language, German language, African language, what other languages are there? Math language, logic and symbols language, geometry, there's different languages to who we are. And a lot, it may be like, hey, this language feels really hard. For me, mathematical connections awareness with that, to me, it's like a riddle or a puzzle or a formula, which I felt like I was jammed into in high school, and even a bit in college. I was like, I don't think my brain likes this kind of logic at all. I gave it a good old try, and I did pretty good at times, but other times I do really bad. There was no rhyme or reason to it. And so I say that because, again, we can be really good at different languages, or we can be really challenged by them, or they can really stir up a lot of feelings and things. And so I really pride myself in speaking the language of energy quite easily and effortlessly, because it is something of my own consciousness. It's the way my brain and my spirit are allowing myself to work into in this timeline. And I do feel like it's very valuable and important, because if you're questioning your connection with Spirit Baby, and this is what I hear a lot in the Facebook group, in my Spirit Baby collective membership, in private spaces, even in one-on-one and programs, it feels really stressful, right? Really feeling and questioning at times, hey, what's happening? What's wrong with me? Or I don't hear anything, or I suck at this, or maybe my baby doesn't like me, right? This is the things that we hear. And it's all not really true. It's not true. You don't suck at it. You may need a little tweaking and a little shifting of where your body awareness is and how you're opening up to your psychic space. And that does create, that does, I not say create, but it does, you will have to create space for it. How about that? And, baby, it's not like baby does not want to talk to you either. You haven't done anything wrong. Again, it's just that connection that you're building, you're being in awareness with, and you have to experiment. You have to play around with what does that look like? How can you be receptive? And how do things move in your own consciousness? And this is why I always feel like a really important part of that is your body listening. Where is that, that inner part of you, the good listener? The good listener's there. And that inner listening is really important. And that's why having embodiment practices, grounding you in your body, creating some sense of ease in a regulated nervous system. It's okay to get dysregulated, but know where that regulation is. Because if you're in dysregulation all the time, which is very common, especially if you're around a lot of electromagnetic energy, especially if you're, I would say, gosh, even in city energy could be like really intense. Not that you have to become a recluse to a cabin, but, when we're shifting and moving into our awareness of our bodies with our nervous system, there's some work to be done. And let's say you have a dysregulated day, it can be harder to find your grounding to then be in connection and communication with baby beings. So don't stress about it. Number one, I'm like, don't stress about it. Don't stress about it. Don't stress about it. Just go, okay, I'm going into this practice. I'm going to go into inner listening. My nervous system feels more regulated. And again, it's not about perfection of regulation, that one day you're regulated, the next day you're regulated, another day, something shifts, I'm dysregulated, and then you move back into regulation. There's no like, oh my gosh, every day, got to hold it together, I have to be in regulation. Of course, the idea is for you to be in regulation more than dysregulation, because there's health in regulation, there's safety in your body, there's ease of your muscles, there's health in your cells. And again, it's a work in progress for many people with past traumas, current traumas, a lot of energy. And remember, I said before, the electromagnetic energy of the environment, of the people, of your history, all these things play into that connection of how you listen. And so you are, I like to call it the spiritual detective. So you're decoding your internal messages when they come up. It's really up to you to do that, and it's really nice to have help, Spirit Baby Intuitives, Spirit Baby Medium Kelly, to see like, oh yeah, where is this message going? Are you in relationship with it? And I really enjoy working with conception and pregnancy with Spirit Baby, because what happens is I see a lot of accuracy between, okay, baby being is really connected to this, whether it's music or art or meditation or writing, and there's always a connection with the parent, like, oh yeah, this is something I'm doing, this is something that I'm in favor with, or even something new I started asking with babies, which has been really, really fun and beautiful and healing, is asking baby for a symbol, a connection between them and their parents, that they can find themselves even in the outside world. Again, I feel like almost that is like, not convincing, but it helps to go, oh, I'm getting this message. Look, I keep getting this bird that keeps coming around, or I keep seeing this butterfly, or this is interesting, a ladybug entered the house, and that's very strange, and what comes to my mind when I'm in there? How do I then, build that connection? You can definitely use the creative energies of our creatures to be of service, because they are energetic and they are telepathic, and so baby can just influence that energy quite effortlessly and beautifully, and that's what that is. And that is a sign. Animal signs, plant signs, nature signs, these are signs. And here's the thing, as I said, if you discard them, then that's what they become. They become nothing. And so remember, it's not about convincing yourself, it's about being receptive. It's about receiving and then allowing that receiving to move into your consciousness. So again, remember, it's like your body's involved, your thought process is involved, your mind is just this passive, flowing energy that it moves through into your crown space. And you can even bring it down deeper into your body to have a felt sense experience with it. Because some people will say, hey, I'm not very visual. Okay, use outside cues of energy. But also, you can be feeling. You could feel I like this one. You could feel an image. You can feel something into imagery. How about that? Not, you're like, what does that mean? So you can feel, it feels like a bright sun, or I don't know why, it feels like a unicorn energy, or, it's like, what is that symbol? What is that connection for you? And so, again, being conscientious of the decoding, right? It's like, I want to decode this message, but you also don't want to overanalyze and think it. But it's okay to move into that. And I've done that before, even in prior work. I was like, am I getting into too much thinking? Are we decoding it? Or how do we just kind of leave it aside and go, okay, let's come back to it. Maybe it doesn't need to be pounded into this reality in a way that feels digestible. It's like, let me just let it go and see what it wants to come back. I like to do that. Even in my own supernatural space, I have symbols or messages come for me, not connected to baby stuff. If I want to overanalyze it, sometimes I journal about it and go, what is it? It's like freaking amazing. Oh my gosh. And then it feels good to write about it. And then other times I just sit in a quiet space and go, let me receive this. And what does it need from me? Do I need something from it? And I'm just kind of maybe romancing it and playing around with the energy. And then I have to drop it in and surrender with it and not feel like I have to be obsessed with it. And it could help even to talk with others. I love talking it out with other healer, high vibrational, thought conscious people, and especially my ladies, I would say, my dearest friends, my hearts. And so it's nice to do that, because then you put texture and substance to what you're seeing in your reality. And so, again, being that good listener, decoding however the messages come through, but watching the over analytical part of you. And then trusting. Oh, boy, here's the big one, right? Trusting. It's trusting the style. What is your communication style? And maybe you can sit here and take a note for a minute. My communication style is, I'm really good visually. It's so good. I'm really good at feeling and sensing. Those two feel really good to me. And really claim it. Don't feel like, maybe, I don't know. You do know. So I'm like, my communication style, visual feeler. This feels really good. It feels really strong. And I trust that. I don't need to scan ahead or figure it out beforehand. I trust that. And in that moment of my ease and relaxed space, I'm just stepping into it. And then I'm going to move forward with it and go, okay, this is what trust feels like. And really experiment, explore that. I feel like we don't do that enough as just conscious beings. What does it really mean to trust ourselves in the world, trust our bodies, trust our connections to everything that we're in relationship with, which is literally everything around you? And again, maybe time for reflection around that. And if it feels challenged, I would say go out into nature, go to the water, go to the beach, go to the lake, go to the creek, and listen to yourself in nature. Be in relationship with your own body, and then in relationship with what is nature in connection with you. And then you can move into that third space, we'll say, one body, two, in relationship with other energy, three, that psychic space, that supernatural light body part of you. It's there. Remember, I say 1, 2, 3, they're like layers all intermixed with you. There's no boundary really between them. Our mental energy creates a boundary, but they're not. They're all really overlapping, intermixed, and just gently breathing within each other. And so you building that trust, knowing your communication style, your spirit baby communication relationship, and, asking yourself, what does your relationship need? And is the need from you? Or do you feel like the need is from baby? And that's a tricky one, right? Because there can definitely be over-questioning of it's my needs, no, it's baby's needs, no, it's my needs, no, it's baby's needs. And it's okay. We may not have to get that technical, but also going, what if spirit baby doesn't need anything from you now in this moment? What would you do with that information? Would it feel stressful? Would it feel frustrating? Would you over-question and go, they must need something because I'm not pregnant. There's nothing happening in here. Something is needed. And if you feel that fire, that frustration, I want to say good. See what it takes to get you to where you're next evolving into. and really receiving. How is your child coming into your life? Are they coming through intervention? Are they coming through another? What are the ways that's coming together? And it's okay not to have every answer, right? When you're decoding, trying to understand how things are moving through into daydream spaces, into even nighttime spaces. There's many different ways to continue to receive. And I do feel like trusting, receiving, and it's okay to question. It's okay to go into fear. It's okay to overanalyze at times, but also going, is it serving what the journey is doing for you? What is the next part? Again, is it really about what you think it is or what you feel it to be? And then how do you just continue to do whatever the love and purity of you being a co-creator with life is still there. It's available. And then there's a little energies in the way. There's a little shifting and tweaking of energies. This is why all my energy and work all these years is in the before life, because the sacred space of in-between worlds is so abundant. And our own creative forces are not physically broken. They're energetically misaligned, energetically shifting through old traumas and stories that may be kind of oblivious to many. And that's where ancestral stuff is really important. Because, again, this is the hard part, is remembering the wholeness. It's like your inner wholeness to who you are. And everything outside of that is just storylines, energy, multidimensional circuitry, sometimes, with bigger experiences to decompress from, to release, to restructure, and to move into that higher space for your own alignment, your own frequency. Then you can meet your child in a deeper embodied way, to give birth, to have a child, to have a newborn, to create this storyline of new human being coming in with this powerful energy. And so go there. I want to say, if you're struggling with conception, what I just said, go into that energy. Be present with that energy. And sit in silent places at times if you feel frustrated, fearful, tired. Like, really connect with yourself. Really, really listen to what it is that's serving you now in this moment for your journey to conceive your child or children. And if you're in pregnancy, it'll have different things come up. You're embodied in pregnancy. It can feel really intense. You're not really sure. Things are happening. Get aligned with the ease of your body. Remember, your nervous system now is super, super revved up. Where is your gentleness and your sacred time in these 9 months are very important. And what pollution of thought and mind and media are you allowing to move through? And what signs and symbols is baby sharing with you? I feel like to have an intuitive pregnancy is really important, especially more now than ever. I don't care what the medical doctors say. I don't care what midwives say. You are the authority of your body. And if you have forgotten that, it is time to go do some deeper work. Because you live in your body. You know what's happening. You know what's going on. And that is really what we're coming into in more deeper ways. And that is the reason why I've been doing this for many years. I'm here to bring that consciousness in because it wants to come in, not because I'm making it come in. But there's so many people I've met throughout the years that are just, bam, exploding into that next level through their own story of however that is, through a struggle of conception, even a struggle in pregnancy, or even in good non-struggles in conception, not struggles in pregnancy, and then even healing through loss is, a part of that as well, because as we know, worldly, birth loss is big. It's not small. And I know the statistics change all the time, where these conscious waves of being, how are they coming in? How are they exiting? How are they entering? It's literally nonstop energy. That's what people don't realize, that it's nonstop. I feel like babies, in one reality and then in another. And yet there's, that's a hard concept for the left brain, the mind, the mental body to fully integrate. But it's powerful to be in reflection with. And so, I'm talking about conception, signs and symbols. Pregnancy, it's going to feel probably similar than conception and pregnancy, but even birth loss. So let's say you've had miscarriage, multiple miscarriage, and you need signs. You need symbolism. You need to pull in that language of energy. And I do feel like we do a disservice to humanity to not encourage women to connect with the signs and symbols of that connection, of that child that was with you for moments, even weeks, even seconds. Their spirit and soul is connected. They're there. They're a form of energy, but they're not gone. They don't disappear. If you don't sense or connect with them, it doesn't mean you're a bad person or you're doing it wrong. There's something deeper in there for you. There's something deeper in there for you and your environment, because there's something about miscarriage energy to me that is very lineagistic, whether it's egg and sperm, but also is when it happens to you, it's a part of you. I know it feels like it's happening to you, right? And that's okay to look at it from that perspective, but it's a part of the happening of you. And then it literally shifts your whole reality because it's supposed to. It's literally this like structure of energy just shifted, and now there's something else kind of unfolding. And there's opportunity to expand into what that is, right, on so many different levels. And so using signs and symbols in that connection. I really need baby. I really need you right now to send me a message. My heart is breaking. I'm just confused. And you then have to listen and be quiet in the calm, and don't expect something right away. It could come right away. It depends on your level of psychic space, really. You may need time for that. It may come in a letter, a phone call, an image, a picture, an email, physically outside of you. But again, you pay attention, that inner listening. And then let's say you've had other kinds of losses where it's like a stillbirth, and you're birthing your baby that's dead. And or you've had infancy loss where baby's here for weeks to months and then they're gone. My goodness. Signs and symbols is crucial for your connection to move into the children of light, is what I'd like to call them. Your child of light is in collaboration with you. And what are you doing now with this experience? Because it's a real experience that your baby is not with you, that your child is not in their body, that they are not here and dead. And so there's nothing hiding around that. But yet again, coming into what I like to call, motherhood to mediumship energy, connecting in that space, that now you have been initiated into something different and new. And those signs and symbols are pretty incredible, actually. If you are tuned into the Facebook world, I have two groups. One is Spirit Babies, and the other one is the Afterlife of Spirit Baby. And in the Afterlife of Spirit Baby, that specific group is really connected to multiple loss, stillbirth, infancy, death. And in that space, there's extraordinary stories of women that have really stepped into their, what I would call motherhood to mediumship, on some deeper internal contract, right? We can't really say for sure. But whatever it is, they have to step up now and be of service between the portals of two worlds. And that's powerful. And I know some people are like, I don't want that mission. I don't want that journey, but it's part of you. And in that, the signs and symbols are important. And I would say go to that group. I mean, go scroll through. This is just a really small sacred group, and there's just so many extraordinary stories and connections where you literally, it just defies logic. It defies logic, and that's really the point. Logic isn't everything, especially with signs and symbols. And something that I think is really great is, and I've shared this, I think, many times in different spaces where, probably more recently, Carolyn Mace, which I've talked about before, MYSS, Carolyn Mace, wrote many books, programs, used to do private sessions, probably decades ago. And I found her in the 90s, so she's been in this energy for a long time. And she is world-renowned medical intuitive. She pretty much came with the medical intuitive mapping. That word wasn't really there until her existence. And why I talk about her is that somebody gave me medical intuitive training CD set and with Dr. Norm Shealy, and I remember listening. I want to say listen, or did I read it? There's something that Carolyn said about signs and symbols, and I thought, this is really amazing because this is really good information. And she said, and she has 99% accuracy, maybe 95, I don't know. I forgot what it was, something in the 90s, but she's really, really accurate. Dr. Norm came to her to find, there were issues with people that just nobody could solve. Science could not solve, and she helped them solve it, and they healed because they were going into past lives and more into energetic traumas and things to find the healing instead of going, okay, here's a pill, take it, you're better, right? That doesn't always work, especially with deeper stuff. And so she says, here's the big piece I feel like, everything she experiences in her psychic space, in her spiritual space, is through signs and symbols. She says actually, symbolically, is everything she connects with. And this feels really important because look at her level of work, her credibility in the millions, right? At least 1 million people she's probably impacted and helped. And in that, the symbols, she says, symbols. So people say, well, Kelly, I want to hear my baby to say, hey there, hey there, Sally, Mom. Hey, Sally, Mom. Hey, how's it going? I want you to go do this and that and that. Hey, here, go look over there. Here, let's fill this out. And it can come more telepathically, kind of like that. But for a lot of people, like Carolyn even shared, it's very symbolic. So she has to now decode that symbolic language and feel and trust in it, right? And she does. And why I say that is everything could feel like it's your imagination just floating around. And I would even say get yourself into psychic groups, into people of like mind can help your energy. But for me, when I'm connecting with people and I'm telling them what I see in the story that's coming up and I'm getting confirmation on it, because what I'm doing with that symbolism, there's some things that are very symbolic for me and other things that are not. I'll pull that symbolism into my feeling body naturally, and then I go with it. It works with my intuition, and then I share it and say it. And so this is why when I do private sessions, I have a sheet, and I have a picture of a body outline, and I'm writing because so much information. I'm coloring, I'm writing. I'm like, look at this organ, look at this body, emotionally, physically, spiritually, what's happening. Oh, look at the uterus. Oh, there's eggs here. There's no eggs here. Oh, there's something is off. Do they have endo? Do they have cysts? There's something in the energy. Then it's like shifting around. And I always have questions in my sessions too. I'm like, oh, this is what it looks like. And, getting that confirmation from people to know that I am seeing things that are there. And without them telling me before, which is always fun, right? Because I'm seeing their energy without seeing them. I'm just hearing their voice. And again, the language of energy can be a very easy language for some people. But yet again, I want to pull back into symbolism. And so sometimes a baby will come and share like tubes with me or something. Oh, I know there's something with IVF. Or milk. A baby shares something about milk. Oh, does that mom in her pregnancy need protein or something? And that would be like a symbol, right? And you can ask your baby for a symbol. Actually, how about right now? Take a breath. I know there's so much energy in this space that I'm in. You're listening, you're tuning in. Take a breath, relax your shoulders, close your eyes for a moment. Say hello to your heart. Say hello to your baby's energy. Intend it to be there. You don't have to force it or overthink it. Hi, baby being. Send me a symbol right now into my body, into my thought space, into my eye space. And whatever the first thing that comes to mind, that you are bridging a connection of symbolism. And that's just one way of doing it. So don't feel like, oh, well, Kelly, I just saw this thing in front of me and now that's my symbol. You can overanalyze that, but maybe that thing in front of you was baby wants to be your symbol. And so, again, you can receive symbolism in different ways. And again, looking at somebody, again, I'm like, okay, so it doesn't have to be literal, even though it may feel cryptic at times. Really remembering energy is energy. It moves and flows. It doesn't need structure, and it doesn't need you to harness it. It's motion and movement. And so remembering you are an energy being, going into inner listening, knowing that you are the master of decoding. And you can put energy on the side. If you're not sure, come back to it or let it go. And trusting in your communication style with baby. You have an intimate connection with your baby being, coming into creation or in your pregnancy currently, or even in your birth loss, even in the loss of your son or daughter. You are in communication with that child, with that being. And knowing that sometimes baby being doesn't need anything from you, just the pureness of love, connection, expansiveness, transformation. You get to listen and see what next wants to unfold. And so I say with much love and gratitude, thank you for joining this episode, 140, Signs and Symbols, Understanding How to Decode and Trust Your Spirit Baby Messages. And of course, if you like my podcast, please subscribe, leave reviews, and please join my newsletter for meditation on soul-to-soul communication with baby, and check out my book. It's called Sacred Communication. It's a Spirit Baby journal. And of course, now hot on the press, ready to go and be shipped, is Spirit Baby Oracle cards, Answers from Spirit Baby. And you can have your own way of building intuition and communication, and it's all really messages from the voice of baby's own heart and spirit. And that's for pregnancy, conception, pregnancy, and also through loss. Thank you so much for tuning in today.
This is Spirit Baby Radio. Thank you for joining Kelly in the energy of awareness, love, healing, and soul communication. Please join the next episode at www.soulbabycommunication.com.